What if I told you the greatest quarterback in NFL history might have quietly helped push Shedeur Sanders off the Raiders draft board, not once, but 7 times? That's exactly what fans are whispering after the Las Vegas Raiders, co-owned in part by Tom Brady, kept passing on Sanders during the 2025 NFL Draft. And then, just when the dust was settling, Brady himself added gasoline to the fire. On a podcast, he was asked about Shedeur's stunning fall. Instead of defending a young QB he's publicly mentored before, Brady hesitated, stumbled over his words, and dropped one of the coldest non-answers imaginable. "I wasn't part of the evaluation process." Fans heard that loud and clear. For a man whose opinion carries as much weight as a front office exec, that felt less like deflection and more like dismissal. Add it all up, the Raiders' repeated snubs, Brady's awkward dodge, and the timing of his comments. Suddenly, what looked like a normal draft slide now feels like league politics at its messiest. And here's the plot twist. Brady, of all people, should know better. He was the 199th overall pick, a nobody who turned doubt into dynasty. His story is the NFL's biggest underdog fairy tale. And now he's accused of closing the very door he once kicked down for himself. The backlash has been immediate. Fans are roasting Brady online. Raiders diehards accuse him of sabotage. And Shedeur, he hasn't fired shots. He hasn't complained. Instead, he's done what he's always done. Stay ready and let his game do the talking. So the burning question is this: did Tom Brady actually sabotage Shedeur Sanders' draft night? Or did he accidentally crown him as the NFL's next great underdog? Let's break it down. Draft night always delivers drama. But Shedeur Sanders' slide was different. Heading into the draft, most experts pegged him as a solid top 3 quarterback prospect. His arm talent was obvious, his production in college was undeniable, and his marketability, given his last name and flashy style, was a dream scenario for teams looking to energize their fan base. On paper, he seemed like the kind of player NFL front offices go out of their way to grab. And that's why eyebrows went up when the Raiders kept passing. Not once, not twice, 7 times. This wasn't just some quarterback-needy team quietly choosing other options. This was a franchise with Tom Brady as a minority owner, actively hunting for the face of its future, flat out ignoring a quarterback who seemed tailor-made for their market. Instead, the Raiders invested elsewhere, leaving Sanders to tumble down the board until the Browns finally snatched him early in the 5th round. For Vegas, a city built on spectacle, skipping over Shedeur felt less like a football decision and more like a statement. Fans noticed it immediately. Why would a team starving for energy pass on the flashy dual-threat quarterback who could have sold tickets from day one? Was it because of his father, Dion? Was it skepticism about his flashy personality? Or was it something deeper, something behind closed doors? Theories quickly circulated online. Maybe the Raiders thought Sanders' confidence looked too much like self-promotion. Maybe they worried about the media circus that would follow. Or, as some fans argued right away, maybe the ownership group, Brady included, simply didn't believe in him. By the time Brady made his infamous podcast comment days later, fans already suspected politics had played a bigger role than performance. His stumble didn't create the suspicion, it simply validated it. And that set the stage for the firestorm that followed. Tom Brady has been in front of microphones for 2 decades. Press conferences, Super Bowls, media scrums, he's polished at answering almost anything. But when Shedeur Sanders' name came up on that podcast, Brady wasn't polished. He froze. The host asked the obvious question: why did Shedeur Sanders fall so far down the draft board? There was a pause. Brady stammered, almost searching for a safe line, and then finally muttered, "That's a good question. I wasn't part of the evaluation process." And that was it. End of answer. For casual listeners, maybe it didn't sound like much. But for fans and insiders, that silence was deafening. Brady had mentored Shedeur in the past. He'd publicly praised his work ethic. He's even been spotted training with him back when Sanders was still in high school. So why, when presented with a golden opportunity to back the kid, did the greatest quarterback of all time step back into the shadows? Theories exploded online. Some accused Brady of playing politics, protecting the Raiders' front office by pretending he wasn't involved. Others claimed his hesitation revealed the truth, that behind the scenes, Brady didn't believe Sanders was ready, and his word was enough to sway draft decisions. Whichever was true, the damage was done. Fans who wanted Shedeur in silver and black saw Brady's non-answer as a quiet knife in the back. Social media lit up with clips of the moment, captioned with one theme: Brady sold him out. What made the moment worse was Brady's follow-up. Instead of rallying around Sanders, he shifted to his old mantra: use it as motivation. Day 2 matters more than day 1. Inspirational? Maybe, but from Brady's mouth, it felt condescending. The underdog turned legend was now telling the next underdog that he wasn't special. For Sanders supporters, that wasn't tough love, it was a betrayal. The moment Brady's "I wasn't part of the evaluation" clip hit social media, it was over. Within hours, Twitter, TikTok, and Reddit lit up with one shared reaction. Did Tom Brady just throw Shedeur Sanders under the bus? Fans aren't dumb. They know silence can be louder than words. Brady didn't have to say, "I don't believe in Shedeur." His hesitation, his dodge, and his refusal to back him said enough. To Sanders supporters, it looked like the NFL's most powerful voice had co-signed his draft slide, and the backlash was instant. Memes painted Brady as the gatekeeper, blocking fresh talent from breaking through. Raiders diehards started flooding timelines with takes like, "We passed on a star because Brady shook his head." Even neutral fans, who didn't have a dog in the fight, found themselves rooting for Shedeur just to spite Brady's awkwardness. Because that's the thing about sports culture. Fans love underdogs, and they love villains. By fumbling one answer, Brady became the villain, and Shedeur the underdog everyone wanted to see rise. Comment sections filled with reminders of Brady's own story. Pick 199. You of all people should know better. Others pointed out the hypocrisy. Brady built his brand on proving doubters wrong. Yet when it was his turn to speak up for someone else, he let the doubt linger. Skip Bayless ranted. Podcasts dissected the pause like a film breakdown. And suddenly, Shedeur Sanders wasn't just a rookie quarterback. He was the people's quarterback. The one fans wanted to see succeed to prove the league, the Raiders, and Brady himself wrong. That's the kind of narrative the NFL never intends to create. But once it's out there, you can't pull it back. And overnight, this went from a draft slide story to something bigger. Tom Brady versus the next generation. What makes Brady's comments sting isn't just the timing, it's the irony. This is the same Tom Brady who built his entire career as the NFL's greatest underdog. Drafted 199th overall, doubted by scouts, mocked for his combine photo, and thrust into the league with zero expectations. He turned that humiliation into motivation, pushed past Bledsoe, and eventually rewrote the entire history of the quarterback position. His story is sold as inspiration in documentaries, keynote speeches, even workout programs. So when it came to Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback facing his own draft humiliation, you'd think Brady would see a reflection of himself. Instead, his hesitation did the opposite. Instead of empathy, it felt like dismissal. The man who carried the "prove them all wrong" banner for 20 years suddenly looked like he was pulling the ladder up behind him. Fans immediately picked up on the hypocrisy. They plastered old clips of Brady talking about being overlooked next to his awkward podcast answer about Shedeur. The message was brutal. You were Shedeur before Shedeur, so why are you acting like the people who once doubted you? This is where Brady's legend works against him. Because of his own story, fans expected him to be the one voice standing tall for Sanders. By staying silent, he didn't just sound cautious, he sounded like he forgot where he came from, and that makes the whole thing personal. It's one thing for a random analyst to doubt Shedeur Sanders. It's another when it's Tom Brady, the guy Shedeur once trained with, the guy young quarterbacks around the country literally model themselves after. When Brady shrugged, it wasn't just frustrating. It felt like betrayal of his own brand, his own legacy, and the very underdog spirit that made him who he is. And nothing fires up fans more than watching a legend become the gatekeeper he swore he'd never be. If the narrative swirling around Tom Brady left most rookies shaken, Shedeur Sanders isn't most rookies. From the start of his football journey, Shedeur has been dealing with noise. Being Deion Sanders' son meant the cameras were always watching, the critics were always louder, and every performance came with extra weight. In high school, it was whispers that his dad's name opened doors. In college, it was claims he was more brand than quarterback. Each time, Shedeur's answer wasn't a press conference rebuttal. It was a performance on the field. And this situation is no different. Instead of trading barbs online or firing back at Brady, Shedeur has doubled down on preparation. Teammates describe him as relentlessly focused, approaching practices like it's Sunday, every single day. Clips from camp show him not lingering on mistakes, but correcting them instantly, keeping huddles organized and celebrating with his offensive line after touchdowns. A deliberate move to stress that it's about the team, not self-promotion. That's the subtle difference. Brady said he wanted quarterbacks who put team above self, framing Sanders as too self-promotional. But Shedeur's actual actions tell a different story. Whether it's sprinting to celebrate with linemen, fist-bumping receivers, or taking time to mentor younger players, his response to criticism has been through leadership, not words. And fans have noticed. Every touchdown dance, every celebration is now reframed, not as arrogance, but as defiance. Proof that he won't let the noise dictate his style or shake his confidence. Because here's the truth. Trash talk doesn't derail Shedeur. It fuels him. He's been underestimated before, and each time, he's turned that doubt into momentum. This latest chapter is nothing new, just a bigger stage with brighter lights. So instead of being rattled by Brady's silence, Shedeur has weaponized it, flipping the narrative from self-promoter to fighter. And fans are rallying behind him, treating him less like a rookie in waiting and more like the league's next must-watch underdog. At first, fans thought this was just about football. Draft picks, depth charts, quarterback evaluations, the usual. But very quickly, the Shedeur-Brady drama spilled into something much bigger. This wasn't only about whether Sanders could read defenses or throw deep outs. It became a clash of culture versus tradition. On one side, you have Shedeur Sanders, the flashy rookie with custom cars, NIL deals, and a social media following that rivals some established NFL starters. He represents a new era of athlete, one where personal brand and on-field skill grow side by side. Younger fans love it because to them, charisma isn't a liability, it's currency. On the other side sits Tom Brady, the old guard, the man who made his brand by staying understated, repeating cliches about team first while winning rings. His hesitation about Sanders didn't sound like pure football critique. It sounded like a swipe at a generation redefining what being a quarterback looks like. And that's why it hit so hard. Because the NFL has always struggled with this tension. For decades, executives and old-school coaches have bristled at players who dared to build identities outside football. When Brady mentioned self-promotion, fans read between the lines. Was this really about Sanders' play? Or was it about his personality, his confidence, even his last name? Brady's comments exposed that divide. Suddenly, sports talk shows weren't debating quarterback mechanics. They were debating whether the NFL was punishing a young player for being too visible. supporters framed Sanders as a victim of gatekeeping. Critics doubled down, saying confidence quickly turns into distraction. Either way, this has left Shedeur in the middle of a fight bigger than him. An image war about what the modern NFL quarterback should be. And ironically, Brady himself is tangled in it. The man once doubted for looking too ordinary now risks being remembered as the gatekeeper resisting the extraordinary. So where does this leave? What started as an awkward Brady soundbite has turned into one of the hottest storylines of the offseason. A rookie quarterback who was supposed to disappear quietly into the middle rounds of the draft has now become the symbol of an entire fan movement. Whether Tom Brady meant to dismiss Shedeur Sanders or simply wanted to dodge the question, the impact is undeniable. His hesitation launched a firestorm that's still catching momentum. Instead of staying under the radar, Sanders now carries the title of the People's QB. Every fan who feels overlooked, every underdog itching for their shot, sees themselves in his story. And the beauty, or chaos, depending on your view, is that every snap Shedeur takes from here on out will be interpreted as a direct rebuttal to Brady. A clean touchdown strike? That's a clapback. A gritty comeback drive? That's silencing the gatekeepers. And if he truly shines, Brady doesn't just look cautious, he looks petty. The irony is thick. The man who embodies the underdog archetype, the skinny kid no one believed in, a sixth-rounder who became the GOAT, now looks like he's standing in the way of the next underdog chasing his path. Fans won't forget that. They'll hold receipts, remind him every broadcast, and fuel Sanders with even more attention. And Sanders, he doesn't even have to say a word. His best response is what he's always done: play ball. Let the critics talk, let the narrative swirl, and let his game answer questions. Because if he delivers, Brady's stumble will look less like tough love and more like the start of an unwanted rivalry. So the question isn't just whether Shedeur Sanders will succeed, it's this: will Tom Brady forever be remembered as the gatekeeper who accidentally created the NFL's next people's champion? Either way, the clock is ticking, and every fan is tuned in.